What is up, everybody? Renfail here. Hopefully, you are doing well. Just wrapped up my excursion into the Red Strain DLC for Atomfall, courtesy of a key from Rebellion. So, shout out to them. Let's talk about the expansion, the DLC, all the good stuff. I really loved the new zone. It is, of course, as the rest of this game, beautifully designed. Um, the new quest line had some similarities to the way they did the Wicked Isle DLC. I will attempt to do this in a non-spoiler manner, but I do have to spoil a couple elements. So just it will be spoiler light to do this whole thing. So bear with me as we go through this. Um, so the new region, beautifully well done. Designed and laid out. Great puzzles as always. The investigations are top notch. The one thing it had in common with the Wicked Isle DLC is in the Wicked Isle DLC, you had to gather 4 things together to unlock a door, essentially. And it's a very similar thing here where you have to gather, in this case, 5 things. Well, first is 4, and then you have to get a 5th, depending on the options that you choose. Um, yeah, it's a very similar pattern, but it's a completely different storyline. It's also, I would like to note, much longer and more involved than the first DLC. And this is the caveat I will say, because the Wicked Isle DLC is completely standalone, and you can do it independent of the rest of the game. Pretty much. You still have to run around and do some of the zones, but it's not tied to the main story anyway. This DLC is directly tied to the main story, at least with the option that I chose to run with. There was another option that I did not go with, and that option was like, I'm going to use air quotes here, that was like the nuclear option, and I don't think that option was tied to the main story. So the caveat I will say here is because I took the other option, I found out at the very end of my playthrough that it was tied into the main story. And this is the caveat in that I didn't actually complete the DLC in that sense because I am up against the clock where I have lots of other projects going on, and I did not know that going into this. So the save file that I chose to play with did not have the interchange completely unlocked. And if you've never played the game before, the main story has this thing called the interchange, which is in all the trailers and we know about, and it is central to the main story, and it is a big deal to unlock and to get access to all of the parts of the facility that you need to get access to in order to progress to the end of the game, which is where Oberon is. And if you remember the game trailers from the game Oberon, there's this big thing about who is Oberon and everything. So yeah, as a result of that, the second option that I opted with was tied to the ending of the main game, and I don't have time at the moment to do a full clear, so I didn't actually get to go to the very end of the DLC. I literally am on the very last quest, which wants me to go to the very end of the game and to do a thing that I need to do before I finish the game. And unfortunately, I don't have the time to do that because the save file that I have is not the right save file to do that because the interchange was not already unlocked, and I just don't have the time right now to go through and clear the interchange. Um, which it left me with a bittersweet taste in my mouth because I was like, no, I don't like leaving things completely like just this sliver of thing that I wanted to see. But it looks like the second option, which I went with, is tied directly into the main story of the primary campaign. So just bear that in mind if you're going to be going through the Red Strain DLC. The other option I'm not sure about. It was the nuclear option, and that option is much shorter, and I honestly don't know how that option works. So I would love to hear from anybody. If you can mention it in a non-spoiler manner down in the comments below, just let me know. Is that ending also tied to the main story, or does that ending just let you end things without worrying about the main story? I would love to know one way or the other. Solid DLC. Like I said, I feel like it was definitely at least, I don't want to say twice as long as it took me. I mean, I did the first one in about 4.5 hours, the Wicked Isle DLC, and this one I'm up to like over 10 hours before I realized that, oh, I need to go through the whole exchange and I don't have another 15 hours of time to do that. So, um, yeah, really great DLC. Super creepy storyline. I loved the complexity of the new zone in terms of needing to get like the Mark II signal replicator and finding your way around, dealing with all of the enemies that are there. And of course, again, not spoiling the main story of the Red Strain, but meeting the scientists who are a part of everything and their backstories and everything else was a great time. So again, had a great time. Other than I just didn't actually see the very last bit of that second ending because it is tied to that main storyline, and I don't have time at the moment to run through it. But I'm hopeful at some point down the road we could get a chance to come through and do a full clear. And knowing what I know now, I know in what order to do things. Shout out again to Rebellion for the key. I look forward to hearing your guys' thoughts on the Red Strain DLC. Drop them down below, and I will let everybody know if I ever get around to diving back in the future for another playthrough of Atomfall. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see everybody in the next one. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Cheers.